What's up, y'all? This your girl Jay Renee with Prison Live Radio. I hope that you're doing well. This afternoon, we got a brother on the phone by the name of Torie Chisholm. He's going to talk to us about, what's going on with him. We always talk about second chances and sentenced too young, and this is one of those things. So we're going to jump right in there. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, everything good. I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
I'm all right, thank you. So we're going to jump right in there. Tell the people a little bit about yourself and where you from.
Um, my name's Torie Chisholm. I'm originally from Far Rockaway, New York, which is in Queens. And then I moved to Virginia, and then I ended up getting incarcerated at the age of 15 years old.
Okay. So what led to your incarceration?
They gave me 303 years with 246 suspended, for robberies. Nobody got killed. And that was my first time ever getting in any trouble. I didn't have no prior record.
Okay. So when it comes to the legalities of it all, how was your lawyer? Like, what went wrong there?
Well, I ain't gonna flex. My lawyer, I didn't have the economical funds. I was messed up. My family was at the time, so we didn't have money for a paid lawyer. Okay. So I had Pratt Cook. Now he was a court-appointed lawyer, but his hands was tied behind his back. Because for real, my case was gang-related.
Okay.
And then, they put it as, bloods. So this was like the first blood really case that they had in this part of Virginia.
Okay.
So they had their mindset on we gonna burn their ass up.
Right.
And I was the only juvenile offender. So everybody else was adults. And so he really couldn't really do much. He ended up redeeming himself in the end because he wrote me letters on my behalf and, to the governor and different parole boards and stuff like that. So he understood, everything that I've been through, but he wasn't able to help me because they weren't trying to hear shit he was talking about. They
Right.
just knew, y'all did a bunch of robberies in my state and we ain't playing that shit.
Right. So they wanted to make an example out of y'all, pretty much.
Say that again?
I said they wanted to make an example out of y'all.
Yeah, basically they wanted to make an example out of us. So, and that's pretty much what happened. And the people that cooperated, because a bunch of us got locked up.
Uh-huh.
I was the only juvenile, but a female from the college, she went to Virginia Union out here in Richmond, PA, and she went to pawn something and it came up in a robbery.
Okay.
And then she pretty much was like, well, I got it from these individuals.
I got you.
Which led them to a bunch of other people, and that's how we initially ended up getting locked up.
Okay.
But I ended up getting more time than the adults. A lot of the adults is home and did their time. Me and one other person, another adult, had got astronomical numbers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So let me ask you. So, how long have you been incarcerated, bro? Can you hear me? How long have you been incarcerated?
I've been incarcerated since the day before Thanksgiving 2003. So, going on 22 years, 21 and a half years.
All right. And you went in at 15. Incarceration is a lot for anybody. What was going on with you as a child in this adult situation? You know what I mean?
Growing up as a child, it was alright. You know what I mean? My mom, she was an addict when I was real young, but she cleaned up in the 90s. So, by the time I was old enough and growing into myself as a young child, she wasn't, doing drugs no more. It was kind of like a single parent household. I went left because she took care of me and my brothers very well.
Right.
Really, I went left, honestly, because, I was young and I ended up having a child. I already had one child. When I started doing a lot of these robberies, I had one child already when I was 15, and I had another one on the way. So like that put me in my mind like, yo, I had to go get it. And I was selling drugs too, but listening to other people, they was like, yo, is it easier way to get bread? So I'm like, all right, well, I need it.
Right.
So that was the trigger in my head where I felt like, well, I need to do more to get money. And when you're a young child, you're not thinking clearly. My kids ended up growing up and graduating high school and never been in trouble a day in their lives. And I wasn't even there. And they love me to death. But I didn't know back then that, look, all I had to do was have patience and my kids would have been taken care of because they ended up being taken care of anyway.
Right. Yeah, bro. That's heavy. You know what I mean? Especially being 15 years old. Like what was that experience like being 15 in an adult facility?
Or how was it like as a young individual going into adult facility?
Yes.
Well, I went to the juvenile facility for probably 90 days. So then I went straight to the jail. So I was 16 in a grown man jail. And my mom, the way that I was brought up, she always told me to hold my own, don't back down for nobody. So, I had to put on a mask and go hard because I wasn't going to be nobody's victim in no way. So, like, I just went hard and I had to numb myself to a lot. I had to grow up real fast.
Yeah.
Even when I got sentenced, it was kind of like people was looking at me like, why you ain't crying? Like I wasn't being remorseful.
Okay.
And before I, go into that, I have to say, I'm doing all this and saying this with all respect to the victims, because in no way, shape, form, or fashion, I condone any crime, and I have to pay homage to the victims because they didn't ask to go through none of what they went through. I harmed them or took something from them and made them feel afraid. So it's always my apologies. Hopefully one day they could forgive me. But I felt like the prosecutor and the judge felt like I was remorseful. But it wasn't that. It was that I had to put on a face being in the jail as a young kid.
Yeah.
I didn't want to show no weakness.
Yeah. I understand that totally. I think a lot of people would. I think a lot of people would. So what are some things that you've been doing since you've been incarcerated?
Like programs and stuff.
Yes.
Well, I came into prison. I was on a level 5 prison at 17 years old. You know what I mean? So I've been through the trenches. I never went to no upstate juvenile facility or none of that. But since I've been locked up, I got my GED. I got my plumbing trade. I got different certifications in construction. I did thinking for a change. All type of what else? Substance abuse, anger management. Took some college courses.
Okay.
Yeah, and right now I'm taking a trade for electrician. So I've been putting in the work, but it wasn't easy to get into that because I still was violent. You know what I mean? You give a young man all that time and you put him straight to a level 5 prison, you're going to be turned up. You're not thinking about, seeing longevity, I'm going to go home one day.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, look, I'm going to make my bed as most comfortable and I'm going to do what I want to do. So for a long time, I was into all the bullshit in prison. Things that it seemed lucrative at the time and it seemed like the right thing to do because it made my bed sweet. It made me feel like, yeah, I have access. I could do what I want to do and, I got access to the world. You know what I mean? Phones, whatever. Messing with CEOs, gang banging, all that shit. But after a while, I felt like I was accomplishing everything in prison, which was the wrong shit. But it was easy to get all that shit, but the only thing I didn't accomplish was going home. And
Right.
that's when the trigger came in my head, like that flashlight, like, hold up, you doing all that dumb shit and you accomplishing it, but you ain't putting in the work to go home.
Right.
So after that, I just chilled with everything and I just put all my energy into going home.
Okay. For sure. Well, definitely congratulations on your achievements. You know what I mean? I think for a lot of people, especially being young, when you first go in, you just, you know what I mean, you kind of lost and you trying to find a way to stay alive for real. You know what I mean? So I think we can all understand that, that rough patch in the beginning, Um, that's heavy, bro. So let me ask you this. So what are your goals now? Like what do you need from the people? How can we support you?
Well, really, I mean, how you can support me. First off, my goal now is to bring awareness to what's going on when it comes to juveniles in the world.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, you got to think. First off, it's almost 9,000. It's 8,600 juveniles with life without parole in the U.S. And then 59% of the youth sentenced to life without parole, they all first-time offenders. They never been locked up ever in their life.
Wow.
Like me, I never been locked up never in my life. So, it's a war on juveniles, and don't get it twisted. Like, juveniles, we done some shit, they done crimes, and I felt like I was supposed to do some time. I would never feel like, oh, I won't supposed to do no time. Nah, I'm supposed to do some time, but
Right.
not lock them up and throw away the key time. Something that teach me a lesson. And they going overboard with the time they doing. You get what I'm saying? The time that they giving out, and now they getting smart. They not giving you life without parole or life with parole. They giving you a number that you can't do.
Right.
40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, like
A death
even
sentence.
25 years. That's too much time for a juvenile.
Yeah.
It's almost too much time for any person, depending on the crime.
Yeah. And there's science behind it when it comes to, people that are under the age of 25 about, just not having, the development in their minds to really decipher what's going on and their actions and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, you know,
Exactly. And, platforms like this help me bring awareness because I was one of them.
right.
But the only difference between me and them, they didn't have a voice. See, I was relentless, and I knew that that's what I was supposed to do. Something told me, tell your story, email everybody, and just let them know what I'm trying to do. And then, I got one of my first hits, which was Storm Monroe. And then from there, I got Hollywood Unlocked.
Okay.
All these people, they deal with Hollywood,
Right.
celebrities, but, they gave me a shot. So now it's up to me and, people like us, we have to bring awareness for all the juveniles and people locked up incarcerated that's doing time. So, like, I ain't gonna lie, even from now to when I get out, because my plans is I hope I make parole this year, but regardless, I go home next year.
For sure.
I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing interviews and, I'm going to go talk to boys and girls clubs and juveniles and youth centers and let them know, like, I come from that gang banging shit. So, like, I would never push a gang-free agenda because I'm going to keep it a bang. Like, a lot of my principles and morals came from that. But what I do push is a crime-free agenda. We not criminals. See, a lot of people not giving these young boys a game. You got to stop doing crime because to say one genre is the baddest people in this world is like saying, oh, because this cop killed somebody or put his foot on his neck and killed this person, all cops are bad. Or because this Catholic priest touched this kid, all priests are bad.
Right.
Or because this pastor's stealing money, all pastors are bad. Or this doctor botched this person doing surgery or perverted, or all doctors is bad. No, they're not.
Facts. Yeah, you said it, bro. Hold on for a second. Yeah, you said a mouthful there, bro. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate, and I know a lot of people will appreciate the fact that you're trying to give back to the community and talk to these youth about
You have
different
1
things.
minute remaining.
But yeah, before we got cut off, I was saying, it's highly appreciated that that's something that you want to do, and it's respected that you didn't get bitter all this time. Your thoughts are with others, helping others, and you know what I mean, stuff like that. That's really what's up, bro. That you try to do something like that for real. um how can people get in contact with you if they want to reach out?
I mean, the best way to get in contact with me is through JPay, with my inmate number. You know,
Okay.
that's it, JPay 101-8519.
All right.
And yeah,
I'll be sure to include
that's what
that.
we pushing, but yeah, I ain't playing with them. They created the beast. The only difference between me and and some people, I just utilize my time and use my mind. You know what I mean? And I just educated myself.
For sure. Yeah, you did. You've been doing a lot of things back there, bro. For real. You ain't stay stagnant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a fact. I ain't stay stagnant, and I always believed in myself. A lot of people don't be having the means and don't know what to do. And sometimes we don't. Like, I fought my case throughout and kept getting denied. So I knew, like, the interviews and stuff, because you in prison, I talk to the bros. I could talk about anything, any type of subject. So I knew that, okay, maybe if I just talk about what I've been doing and what I got going on, it'll shed some light, and that's exactly what it did.
Yeah. That's peace right there, bro. I want to give you an opportunity to tell us something that we might have missed, or to just address the people. The floor is yours.
Oh, it's a lot, but I'm gonna tell you this. First off, I want to say, these prison relationships be crazy. So everybody that's in prison relationships, and a lot of people don't realize that, a lot of times through my bid, I had domestic violence in my relationship, and people think it's physical. It ain't. I never put my hands on nobody in my life, especially not no woman. I mean, no female.
Right.
But a lot of my relationships been aggressive. Threatening each other, isolating each other, hanging up, blocking, and I ain't perfect in it too, because I fed into a lot of it. And I just want to let people know out there, man, if you holding your man down, and if you got a female holding you down, y'all gotta respect each other. Because a lot of my relationships ain't work out, and it's only because people don't know how to communicate. So you gotta know when it's time to let them shits go, because they could be draining. And I done been in messed up situations behind this wall when females called up the prisons, lied on me. You get what I'm saying? Trying to get me lined up, trying to get extra charges on me while I'm fighting my case. You get what I'm saying? So I just want to let people know out there, respect each other and love each other. All that being petty with each other and being aggressive with each other, you already locked up, and she out there holding you down. So the only thing y'all can do is find peace. If you can't get that, then move on. And I'm gonna leave it like that. You feel me?